On this week's show, does being fit and in shape actually benefit your business? Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint podcast. We're here every Monday at 12 midday. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can watch us on YouTube. Hi, I'm Russell Leeds, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint podcast. This week, I'm joined by a personal trainer, a good friend of mine, Marvin Ambrosius. So, Marvin, thanks ever so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. So give you a little bit of background. In fact, no, I won't give you a bit of background about Marvin. I'm going to ask him, okay? And then we'll get on to the main subject. Just does being fit, does being in shape. Obviously, you believe in it. You're a personal trainer. You've had massive transformations yourself. Before you tell me about your personal training, tell me about what you used to look like.
Oh, well, definitely unrecognizable to you. I went through two stages. One from being a real chubby kid into them becoming an athlete, professional basketball player, but from the age, I'd say 12 up until 19. Then I changed paths, went into a whole different career, went into music. And within 6 months to a year in the music industry, I'd went from 12 and a half stone to 19 stone. So if you're trying to quantify what that looks like in size, that's basically this, in 6 months to a year, that's literally how much weight I put on. But then it was kind of, I'll get to it after, but I'll give you an understanding of, I know what happened now, but the whole time I was playing basketball, I was consuming maybe 4,000 to 5,000 calories of food a day, but I was burning 8,000 calories a day. So that's why I could never put weight on. So when I stopped playing basketball, I consumed the same amount of calories with no exercise. That simple. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. So that's basically my transformations from that to what you see now. If anybody does want to see pictures, we'll show them after and you can see them. That's fine.
So that's quite interesting. Like you're pro, I mean, you were telling me before, a pro basketball player. I mean, that's pretty cool. So what made you decide to stop doing that, or what happened there?
A broken heart, really. I had so many injuries. Like it got to a point where from my first injury I had was 9. I fractured my ankle. But then from that point on, I had a lingering ankle injury the whole time. It never seemed to go away. And then because of the compensation and I was putting on one leg, I then done the other ankle by the time I was 13. And then I kept on twisting the ankles every now and then. Then I'd fractured my toe and then I broke my ankle again. And then that was all before the age of 16. So when I got to 17 and I got really serious now, like I was playing for England, I was captain by the time I was 18. And then one day collided knees with someone and I just heard this shatter. And I kept on playing, and then the next day, it was like cartilage bone was floating around my knee, and it kept on locking, and I couldn't play. So it was like I had 10 months off. So let's say I had 10 months to think, which I'd say wasn't very healthy for me at the time. It was too much thinking, and I thought so much. I kind of talked myself out of playing basketball anymore. I literally fell out of love because I felt like it didn't love me anymore.
Yeah,
I felt like anything that you put your all into. My ethos is always, it has to come back. I've always thought that in everything I do. And that used to come through my practice, through my training, and how good I got was a testament to how much I worked hard. But I didn't feel like, well, why am I working so hard to get injured all the time? And that was pretty much why I gave up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So then you went into the music industry and you worked with was there not a pressure to be slim? Because most people that work in the music industry, especially, how long ago was this? This would have been...
Oh, this was 2000, 1999, 2000.
20 years ago?
Yeah, 20 years ago, yeah.
Now, isn't it? You've got some pop stars who aren't in shape now.
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't seem to matter quite so much as it did, like when in the year sort of 2000, it was very much about image. So was there not
very much.
Sort of slim and in shape then?
No, what was really good was being a writer, because I wasn't the singer, I was the writer. So with the writers and the producers, it was kind of like the writers and the producers were always overweight. And the reason why that was because they were always in the studio. They didn't go to the gym. They just went to the studio. So there was the odd few producers that were in shape. But most of the producers and engineers that I met were all overweight because we all did one thing, sat in a chair all day. That's all we did. Sat in a chair, wrote music, maybe walked into the vocal booth, walked out, and you'd always end up eating something that was unhealthy. No, I don't remember ever seeing one healthy meal in the studio other than the artist. The artist always seemed to eat healthy at the time.
Yeah. It's one of those jobs though, I imagine, where you're working really long hours. Because I remember when I was in
Oh,
entertainment, it was like the same. It's like a lot of the entertainers are overweight because you're driving around like a maniac. You sleep in weird hours. You don't get into any sort of routine. You know, you've got a day off. You're buying McDonald's, driving across
yeah,
the country. It's
exactly.
that sort of life where you. I think when you've got a routine and you're in a okay. This I get up, I go and have. I used to go like often. It's funny because when you're overweight, but you go 10 hours without eating. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
you know,
It's so weird you should say that, and that's exactly what I used to say to people. I would literally go. I wouldn't even have breakfast. I would go to the studio. 6-7 hours would pass, and then they go, "Oh, let's go eat something." But I'd probably consume about 3,500 calories
yeah,
in the one meal, and
yeah,
that's the problem. And then it would all be any drinks like Red Bulls, fizzy drinks. So I'd probably consume about 2,000 calories of drinks
yeah.
as well as the food. So when it all added up, it was like 5-6,000 calories. And walking forget your 10,000 steps. I was barely taking 2.5 to 3,000.
Mm.
So it's like there was it had to go somewhere, and it just started to go all over my body. That was it.
So I mean, obviously you've gone into personal training now, which is really cool actually, because you've been there, so like
Yeah,
when I'm turning around to you or whatever and saying I'm a little bit overweight. I know you obviously working with me, I'm a little bit overweight. And it's you know the struggle because you've been there. It's not like you're not one of those fitness freaks who's just always been 2% body fat and because they just don't even
yeah.
like food. You like food, you've had the struggles, which I think is really great. Um,
Thank you.
so what was the catalyst for you? What made you go, enough is enough. I don't want to be called Big Marv anymore. I want to be called Fit Marv. What happens?
Do you know what? If people was to poke you on the shoulder and do this to you every day, eventually you're gonna go, stop it.
Mm,
That's what it was. People couldn't stop mentioning my weight. It was just like every single time you bumped into someone or saw someone would say something about my weight. And then it got to a point where I was ignoring it until one day, I remember it was two incidences. It was one where it was getting to my dad's wedding and I was going to buy a suit, couldn't find a suit to fit me anywhere, like anywhere. And then the same week, I was in the car and I felt really cool in my car. I was like, yeah, I got my new car. I had my flashed up, souped up wheels, and I was feeling really good. I was like 22 at the time. And I remember going, this guy just called me a fat, like it would C word. And no one's ever called me a fat something before.
Was it the fat bit that offended you, not the C word bit? It's like,
Yeah, it was
I am a C word, but fat.
yeah, that's how. No, do you know what? The C word didn't. It was the F bomb that dropped on me. I was like, what? And then I kind of went home and I had to look at myself and go, is that how people see me? And it just kind of like the penny dropped on me. I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. But then
Yeah,
this is where the story gets crazy. I ended up going to the extreme because I just didn't know how to lose weight other than play basketball. And I didn't want to play basketball again because I knew that if I played basketball again, I'd either want to do it, but I knew I couldn't do it the way I wanted to. So I just
yeah,
said, forget that route. So I tried to go to the gym a few times, didn't really know what I was doing, which is really strange when I think back at it now. And I expected the weight to fall off really quickly, but nothing was happening. I was getting fit really quickly, but the weight wasn't falling off. So I just decided to go on like an abstinence diet and went on an abstinence water juice diet thing for like 3 months, lost like 5 stone. And this was like, at this point, my wife's pregnant and our first child's being born, which is my son Sky. And he's born now. I'm skinny, but not just skinny. I'm talking like sucked in skinny, no muscle, just like dangling around. And everyone's like, oh my God, you lost too much weight. Oh my God, you look terrible, but you look great. And it was like all mixed messages. And then within 3 months, you know what happened? I put all that weight back on, like every to the pound back on. And that's because I didn't lose the weight the correct way.
yeah.
And so over that time, my weight just fluctuated between 18, probably 19 stone, 17 stone, 18 to 19. I just kept on going up and down, up and down. And then some years in music, one day I said, I've got to do something. Let me just try and be consistent. Let me do something to be consistent. So I was working a job at Sky Television where I was doing a sales and marketing. So that was a 4 days on, 3 days off job where I got to do music at the same time. And that was the only reason why I took the job, because music went sour at this point. And what I decided to do was go on my lunch breaks to the gym. So I had 40 minutes to do something. So it started off with little runs, cross trainer, just basic stuff. And then I then discovered HIIT training, and I discovered Insanity. So I started doing Insanity on my lunch breaks. And all of a sudden, within, I think consistently without fail, 5 days a week, I was going to the gym. And within 3 to 4 months, I lost like 4.5 stone. And it was like, just like that. And it was because it wasn't just the workouts. I completely changed the way I ate food as well. I was eating what I wanted to, but I just, at nighttime, I didn't consume a lot of calories, never had carbs at night, just had vegetables and protein. Daytime, I focused on having some pasta or tuna or a baked potato, sweet potato, and chicken wraps. Anything that I thought that didn't have sugar and fat in it, I would try and avoid. And because I was consistent for a long period of time, my body reacted to it. And that was like in my probably early 30s that happened by that point. So bear in mind, I was overweight from the age of like between 22 to 32. That whole time was like fluctuation of being overweight the whole time. Yeah. So it took pretty much 10 years for me to find out the secret of how my body works and what I need for me to be the weight that I want to be. And ultimately and effectively, like you just said about me being a personal trainer, helping other people, that is why I feel like I'm better at helping, because I'm trying to cut that 10-year gap for people of going, don't try this, don't try that. This works and you'll be happy. Because I've done everything you've done. I've done everything. Anything you've done, I've tried it.
You've
so
tried
I can then say no.
You've tried
everything.
juicing. I mean, you need to be disciplined to juice. I've done juicing. I've done it about 3 times, but only for a week, where no food at all, just drinking
3
juice and
months.
water. You did that for
3 months.
No
I did that for. No food, 3 months.
That's insane.
And I don't know how I did it. And that's why any of my family and my friends always say to me, there's nothing you can't do, because if you can do that for 3 months, but the end game and the end result was not worth it. It was not worth it at all, because I ended up putting it all back on, and I wasn't happy during the whole process. So for 3 months, I wasn't happy for 3 months. And that's who doesn't want to be happy? Like, you got things to do, you got aspirations. I got on with life, but I felt like I was just getting on with life, not having fun. So,
all right, good question there. Do you think, and this is like a slightly controversial question, but do you think you're going to be more successful as a business person, as an entrepreneur, if you are in shape compared to if you are out of shape?
Very controversial question. I do think, unfortunately, in today's society, perception is definitely looked upon rather than factual evidence. So if you've got an Instagram page that has 500,000 followers that could be fake followers, and you're showing that you've got this, that, and the other, that you've screen grabbed things from other people's accounts and things like that, that can make someone work with you, opposed to someone who's got 500 followers. They look in shape, they're in good shape, or a little bit of out of shape, or whatever, but actually their company's worth 10 million. Like, and they could probably do a better job. People are going to go to the thing that looks more attractive, because that's just something that we're programmed to do. But unless you research into the person, I always say, don't invest into the aesthetic, invest in the person. So if you invest in who you know and what you meet and what you know about that person, that's what you should always invest in. But everybody always starts off with what they look like, how they communicate, and what their vibes they're getting. Because I'm a vibe person.
Yeah, well, I think people, they say that they make a decision, especially if you're selling or something. People make a decision about you within like 3 seconds.
Yeah,
and a big part of that is how you look, especially people are just biased toward it's not intentional. People are just biased towards people that are in shape, better looking. They're better kept. I remember reading the thing. It was years ago I read this, but I was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. They were saying that better looking people, when they go to court, get lighter sentences.
That is crazy. Like, that is actually to think that that's real is just. But I can see stuff like that happening though, which is just like weird. But there's been situations where I've seen people get off with stuff in the workplace, because people had crushes on their bosses and things like that. And you're like, well, it's like, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter how we look, it's how we treat each other. But to answer your question even more so, like, it's a shame. I think people do definitely get more based on their aesthetic. And it's weird. I used to have an old Instagram page, and when I really, I think I showed you the pictures. When I got to like 7% body fat, I was ripped, like ultra ripped, to the point where it's like, people said to me, don't you want to get like that again? And I said, no, because what it took for me to get there in terms of lifestyle it's not worth it. I wasn't living a lifestyle. I literally was living to keep the body how it was. Everything was dedicated to making the body look that way. So whether it was going to your mum's house, going to families of the kids, it's like, if it ain't going to contribute to my body, I don't want to know. And you get very selfish. Like you do become quite selfish. And in getting into that place and that mind frame, it's not a connection between you and life. It's just you and you. So you become basically a bit of narcissist. You become a bit narcissistic. So it's kind of something that you have to work on within yourself and find a way around that to then find a balance. And that's why balance is the key.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I've seen quite a lot of things recently about women saying like they don't like six packs. Women have chosen like dad bods or whatever it's called over that. Why do you think that is?
The psychology of it is, I think, is mainly based on if somebody loves their own body better than they love their woman's or their man's. It's like that, because it's like you can take care of yourself so much that you don't really care about the other.
It's almost like a negative, arrogant kind of persona. If you've got a six pack, it's like, oh, here we go. A bit like people that are rich, people that got money, and people that like roll their eyes like, oh goodness.
Yeah. It's like, oh god, here they go flashing again. It's like, oh the sun's out. Oh, he's got his top off again. There he goes. Oh, there she goes. It's like, but at the same time, it's like when you get to that stage yourself, you are like, oh, take it off. The weather's nice and there. But then that's a lot to do with age and the type of person you are as well. It's like, is it appropriate? No. Do I need to? No. Like, let me just chill out like everyone else. I don't need to do that. What have I got to prove? It's like, everything to me is based on what you're doing for yourself, or are you doing it for other people? Like, if you're doing it for yourself, it's cool. If you're doing it for other people, it's just wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously we've talked about the negative connotation. So if you're in shape, you're more likely to get more, say, if you more clicks on Instagram, you're more likely to get. So in terms of building a personal brand in particular, I suppose it is quite important. It may be unfortunately so, but it is quite important. What about the other benefits in terms of for running a business? So that's one. The other, I would say, would you say more energy?
100%. So as an example, if you're feeling more confident in yourself, but you already had upskilled yourself to know everything about your craft and your business and what you're doing, you deliver your messages more effectively. And with delivering that message, like we just said, this is where the vanity comes in. Other people are looking at you, not only as in, I want to do business with you or have what you have. They can see that you look after yourself. And that looking after yourself is basically a whole package. So you don't only have the money now, you've got the entire package. And they always say not everybody has the entire package. So everybody tries to get that. So we're all striving for something that's impossible, which is perfection is impossible. No one can be perfect, but you can do your best to get as close to it as possible.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, and this is what's crazy about life, and a lot of women who I've worked with in fitness, a lot of them are following unachievable bodies. Men are following unachievable bodies. I'm like, dude, you're not going to look like that. Unless you dedicate your life to looking like that, and that's it, you're going to look like that. And that is the difference between being successful and following and being successful yourself. You have to empower yourself to go, why do I want to look like that? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Now, confidence to me isn't about what you look like. It's delivery. Like all you've got to do, like you said, that first 3 seconds, you speak to me in a conversation, and within those 3 seconds, I've already made up my mind. Whatever you look like, it's how you deliver the message.
Yeah. That makes sense. So energy, confidence is a good point. Other people's perception of you. Any other advantages being fit and in shape? You can live longer.
Would they say live longer? But what's funny about fitness and like health in itself you can see everything that's working on the outside, but we can never see what's working on the inside. We all have different genetics to where we're exposed to things that we're not even aware of through our families. So sometimes you could do everything you can to not want to get something like cancer, but it could just run in your family and you've got cancer cells. They'll say, oh no, but if you're not obese, you're more likely not to get it. But the fact is, there's people that haven't been obese, people that haven't had any health issues that end up getting it because it runs in their family. So it's kind of like, to me, live your best life every day. And that means taking care of the one body you're given in the best way. But most importantly, enjoy yourself. And that is where the balance comes in, because why are we going to taste an ice cream that we felt was the best thing we ever had in our life and say, that's not a good thing, I'm never going to have it because it's not going to give me the body I want? No, you can have it, just don't have it every day. It's that simple. You've just got to say, I'm going to have that, but I'm going to save it for a special occasion. It's the same as alcohol. Like, with what's going on now with COVID, most people now are drinking more than they've ever drank in their entire lives. And when they come out of COVID, it's going to be weaning yourself off because they've got used to a habit. So, but again, it's about making things special. And that's why exercise has to become routine. Exercise has to become habit in order for everything else to work as a synergy for your body so you can live a good lifestyle.
Yeah, that makes sense. So here's a question then. What am I like as a student?
You are actually...
How long have we been working together now? Is it just over a month?
It's about 5 weeks. 5 weeks, yeah, 5 weeks. I'd say you vibe off of if you believe the person. Because what's crazy is, obviously, when we first met, we hadn't worked together yet. So you'd only heard feedback from your brother. Yeah. So the way it goes there, you're only hearing Marvin's this, Marvin's that, and you're like, well, whatever, like, because you haven't experienced what he's talking about. So when we do work together, then and then you're getting the results, but you're getting the things that I'm telling you about doing things and how to do them. And when you're seeing the results, when you're looking at a scale and you're feeling your clothes, then you kind of going, this makes perfect sense. And then I'm like, trust the process, like, trust me. But that's all coming from the experience and from what I know. But the thing about you is you're receptive, because I know that you're somebody who's always been involved with research, has to research everything they do, and knows that the only way you can be good at something is to be consistent. And the reason why you're consistent is because I'm consistent with you. Yeah. So it's a give and take. So you're only giving to me what I'm giving to you. So as long as I'm consistent, you're going to be consistent.
It's true.
So if I was inconsistent, I know that you would be inconsistent. But it's just that because that's how your brain, that's how you work. You're someone that wants to work around people that, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, brilliant. I want to work with that person because what I said that we're going to do, they're going to do it. So that's your principles of working. And my principles of working is that. And when I worked with you, I said, this is what I'm going to do for you. And you do that, you'll get this result. You got your result. So now when I ask you to do something, you listen.
Yeah.
So it's a trust. It's a trust. I've developed trust.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. For me, I like the accountability of it, because sometimes, like, we obviously, if we're doing it over Zoom or whatever, but like I know you're going to be there, and I'm like, oh man, like, but at first I'm into it now. So now, at the first few days, it was like, oh my goodness, like I was like, oh, hey, shock. And you're like, it's not going to last. I went for an extra sneaky, because we do 5 hours a week, don't we? So we're doing an hour a day. Yeah. It's a Friday, get the weekend off. I went for a run this Sunday. I did 2 miles. I was quite 18 minutes. It's about 9-minute mile, which for me is pretty good. Considering I don't run. But I could feel it the next day, and in combination with stuff, and it's like, oh man, this is hard. But I do think it's worth it. Because the other thing, I'm getting to the age now, I was saying to you before, getting to the age now where if you don't start looking at in your 20s, you can kind of get away with it.
So 100%.
Up to about 2012, I would look back at photos, I'm so slim. But even 2016, I used to run and stuff. I did like a 10K, and but it's the years after that, since I started working with Samuel. Actually, he's obviously a bad influence on me. But years after that,
he doesn't hardly eat. He's weird though, because he's the same as what you said. He hardly eats, and then he just waits until like dinner and then eats everything then. But now he doesn't. Obviously, he's got a long habit now. He doesn't do that anymore. But when I first met him,
lost quite a lot, hasn't he? I was showing you that picture of him the other day at
yeah,
the house, and he's like,
he's 3 pounds away from 2 stone now in total. So that'd be 2 stone in less than 5 months.
About a stone before he started working with you, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably lost about 3 stone overall, I would say.
Yeah, which is quite crazy.
That is quite crazy.
And then you're nearly at a stone now, and that's only been 5 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I've got.
It just goes to show you.
Yeah, a bit more to go, and I'll be really look back like I was before. But yeah, it sort of creeped on over the last few years, and I look back and I'm like, damn! Like even like a year, like the weight I am now, and I've lost a stone. I'm still a tiny bit heavier than I was a year ago.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because you don't realize over time, like, it's so strange how you can put on so much quicker than you lose weight. That's what I always say to people. You always put on weight faster. Like, it's like, how comes I can put on 5 pounds in a month if I wanted to, but if I wanted to lose 5 pounds, it is like a task and a half. Like, it's like, why is it so hard? But it's just that your body, to get to that 5 pounds over, it was very easy to do it, but to lose it, especially as you're getting older, it is much harder. It's just one of those things that just becomes more difficult. But we've got to figure out ways to manipulate your body to do what we want it to do, which is to effectively lose weight.
I've noticed a lot of my friends who go on to be very successful, you know, people that are in business, people that are millionaires and stuff, similar kind of age to me, maybe a little bit older, but they kind of have all gone through a phase where they've put weight on. Why do you think entrepreneurs do that when they're being successful as entrepreneurs? Why do you think they put weight on?
It's comfortability. And I think you don't have to answer to anybody. And regardless of what anybody could think of you, it doesn't matter because your business is here. It's a mindset thing. It's like if your bank load and your money and your turnaround from whatever your business is trying to get over to get you the money that you want, and that's happening, it's like, why would I care what I look like? I've got everything I want. Like you just naturally, it's crazy to say, but money, there's so much power in it, a lot more than what people think. It's just like when you see the pictures of those memes of like those old guys and they've got like, they look awful. They got like massive belly and then they've just got these models around them. And it's like, you're like, is this a fake picture? Like, no, it's a real picture. That's a real guy because that's money. Money can do things and people use that to their advantage because they know money can buy things that you can't, if you can't have any money, you don't have that. Like, you just don't have it. So it's a case of like, just with the mindset of people with a lot of money, it's just that comfortability of being able to go, I'm just going to eat what I want because I mean, my business is turning over 10 million every 6 months and I'm fine. So I don't need to really do anything with my body. And it usually takes a friend or their spouse or a new girlfriend or their wife or even a woman as well. Like with female entrepreneurs, like a lot of them even now will say, I saw myself on television, I need to lose weight. And I've got a few that have contacted me and they're like, I want to lose weight. I'm like, well, cool, you can lose weight. Just do this. This is what you need to do. Like, and and like you said, it's accountability. It's like you see yourself, and when you see yourself in a certain light, and you realize that's not how I want to look. Yeah. And sometimes you have to see yourself on a certain stage to get that. And that's exactly the example I gave to you about the suits. And when that guy called me called the F bomb with the C bomb. Yeah. And that just put me on a stage that didn't think I was even on. I didn't know I was in the category. So being put in that category, I was like, nope. I'm coming out of that category now. I don't want to be there.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Awesome. So who's the most interesting person then, change the subject slightly, most interesting person you've met in your music career? Because I know you've met a few.
Prince is like 4'9". He was 4'9", but he had the height of probably a giant. Like his presence walking in a room, it was needless to say, it was godly. It was just like I never experienced anything. I think it's because obviously I put him on, he's my favorite musical artist of all time, and I put him on a huge pedestal. But I think it was how I met him and where I met him that was just kind of like, oh my god. But then it was everyone that was around. So like, I'll try and set the scene for you. So my sister was that basically performed at his house. So we were invited to his house at this Grammy party, and it was his Grammy party. Jamie Foxx, Dave Chappelle, Mariah Carey, Alicia Keys, Lindsay Lohan, The Time, Janet Jackson. They were all at the house at the same time. So I'm in this room.
Adele?
They're all in. No, that was a different party. I'll tell you about that one after. And everyone's dancing. And he walks in and it was honestly like he was floating. It was like this. It was just, and everyone just parted. And then my sister, when he said hi to my sister, gave her a kiss, and she went, "Oh, this is my brother and mother," and he just went, "Nice to meet you," like that. And I was like, and it was just like everything went in slow motion after that, everything.
Yeah.
And I was just in a daze. I was in a daze for about an hour, just like confused about what was going on. But it's just a different type of person. Definitely, he was Prince. Definitely Prince.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really, really cool.
You really want the Adele story, don't you?
No, I won't make you tell it unless you want to.
No. Well, I can say I met Adele, but like that's a different story.
Or maybe if we get enough people saying, "Tell the Adele story," maybe we'll have to get you back on.
Yeah. Then we'll tell it after. Yeah, we'll leave that Adele story. That'd be quite funny.
You've obviously, would you say, being the host of a Sky TV fitness show, would you say that was the highlight so far of your personal training? I mean, you obviously came up with the Fit in 5, hosted it on Sky. I mean, that's pretty cool. Would you say that was the highlight so far of your personal training career?
I think it was definitely the start of something.
Yeah.
And I would say that I think it was definitely the start. I think it kind of showed me that I was definitely different to what was on the market, and that it was nice to know that I came up with a concept that no one else had. Fitness is something that everyone's done it. Oh, they've just done that. And it was like, no, I actually came up with a concept that works and it's measurable, achievable, and everyone can do it. And I feel like it was a highlight, but I don't think it's not the big one yet. I don't think the big one's happened yet. That's what I feel. I feel like it hasn't happened yet. I feel like this is the stepping stones to where I want to go.
Yeah. Well, Sky and then working with Russell Leeds.
Exactly. Well, to be honest, working with the whole with Leeds in general, like it's just a great working environment, like a great team of people. Like everybody believes in what I'm saying, and effectively everyone gets results, which again makes me look good. like that's what it is. It's like if I'm effectively giving and delivering something to you guys and you're getting the results from it, it makes me look good. But the only difference is, for me, it makes me feel good and it empowers me to make it even better. So I want to make it even more fun. And then on top of that as well, I want to keep you there and let you understand how to stay there without even having to have me around. Because ultimately and effectively, this is what I always say to people: as much as I'd love to be people's trainers for life, you're supposed to have people, get them to a point and make them be able to stay accountable themselves. I know, because of how life is, I know that even with myself, that is not how life works. It's very difficult because you're having children, you've got things you need to do, you've got business. Sometimes fitness is kind of the last thing. It's like, wait a second, I've got to do this, but this is more important than that, because you put your body last. But if you can make it count within your day and just say, you know what, I'm going to have Marv come around, sort me out every day. We're going to do this Zoom call. We're going to get this. It makes you accountable, and then you have to do it. And that's why it works. And that's why I think it's something that it's unfortunate everybody can have that, but that's why I do my lives. I do the Fit in 5s. I do the freebie ones that I give away. So people can have pretty much, you can have me every single day, but you just do it online. But it's harder because the accountability is to you to get up and do it. Like you've actually got to do it, rather than me knocking on your door going, come on guys, like that. Like these people are actually here and they're doing it. So it's different.
That makes sense. So if someone wants to get you to train them then for free online or whatever, where do they go?
They just go to @Marvin Ambrosius on Instagram, and they can check out the live website as well. The app, Fit Freaks app on App Store and Google Play. There's a massive update coming up where there's going to be a lot more workouts on there. But I did a good collaboration with a company called Live, which is by Biosynergy Protein. Live is spelled L1VE. There's 20 free Fit in 5 workouts on there right now. 20. So 5 minutes times 20. Like you can have a full body transformation from that whole program alone.
I remember you made me do the day that we couldn't get on the Zoom. You made me do. You were like, do 6 of these, and it's like 6 5-minute hind. And so I did it, and I spoke to you the next day.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, how'd you get on? And I was like, yeah, I did it. And you were like, really? I was like, damn it. He didn't think I was going to, and I have. I was so knackered.
Because I know how tiring it is. I say people are like, 5 minutes, 6 of them. It's nothing like that. Because it's psychology. It's like, it's just 5 minutes. But when you do 2 of them, then the sweat comes and you're like, wait a second, I'm soaking wet. It's only 10 minutes in. By the time you get to 20 minutes, it's over. Like you are pretty much like, oh my God, I've got 2 more of these to go. And like, no matter, like I said to you, no matter how fit you get, you always feel like you've had a good workout. And that's why I say you don't need a lot of time. It's just what you do. And that I think that's probably my proudest thing about Fit in 5, really, is that I've had so much people contact me that have had full body transformations based on just doing the workout programs, just doing the Fit in 5 workout. So
pretty much no equipment, from home, 5 minutes.
Yeah, nothing. You don't need anything other than your body weight. And I think that's something that's a bit of an easy sell. It's like, yeah, you just need to do this, follow me, listen to me, do it. And that's it. Just do it. Just hold yourself accountable. I'm giving you the tools. Do it. Give it within a week to 2 weeks. I always say to people, you're going to lose pounds in a week to 2 weeks, a guarantee. Like if you do it, but if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. So why not try it?
Yeah, makes sense. Well, Marv, thanks ever so much for coming on the show. Really do appreciate it. Guys, I hope you found that useful. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to lose weight, I'd encourage you to check out Marv's stuff. Get into it, because it really does. It gives you more energy, more confidence, other people's perception of you as well. I'm doing it. I would highly recommend you doing something as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more entrepreneurs tips. Thanks ever so much, Marv. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. Really appreciate you having me on.
No problem at all. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.